Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Day 3. Everybody awake? Good. Well, I'm glad you guys are here. We got a lot to cover in a very short period of time, so let's get started here. We're going to be talking about some basic Office 365 Pro Plus. What is it? In fact, let me ask the audience here, how many of you guys have already deployed Office 365 Pro Plus in your environment? Show of hands, please. Very nice. And how many of you are just starting? Very good. How many of you are just waiting on the sidelines to figure it out yet? Very nice. Okay, so I'm gonna go through these first set of slides fairly quickly. Then sounds like you guys are all pretty ready to go. So that sounds pretty exciting. Now, just to keep everybody in context here, why are we actually doing this? What's our motivation for actually delivering sets of features much faster, right? Previously, if you think about our traditional MSI perpetual set of bits, we were continuously delivering these features over a long period of time. But we're seeing the trends in the industries, new users, and even folks like ourselves are starting to ask for net new features. Right? I mean, we keep seeing that happen on our cell phones. We want to see it on our desktops now, and we want to be able to get those features much faster. And what we're seeing with Office 365 Pro Plus, you get all these set of apps. Yes, we're all used to these apps for the past 2 decades now, but the new sets of features are constantly enriching these apps to be able to, deliver better productivity out of each and every one. So folks who are, using these apps to generate critical IP out of it is going up. And we're seeing that with the data that we are able to, that we've surveyed around from multiple people, multiple organizations around the world. You could see that we're saving, about an hour and a half per week as we deliver net new features across every single one of these apps. So you're getting a significant amount of return on investments as you are delivering it. If not, we're also seeing organizations where they don't have the latest and greatest apps, and business groups or individual users are going out and just picking apps on their own, which might be fine because for them, they just want to be able to do their job. But when it comes from an IT perspective, that's a really scary thing, especially if you're in a regulated industry. Where's that data going? Who's it being shared with? Those are all questions we continuously ask ourselves, and we go, okay, is this the right thing to do? So can we take these apps that we're from Microsoft and start being able to have those same capabilities, those same features? And as you can see over time, we've continuously developed and delivered apps in every single version that we have released. Now, if you think about what is happening with our perpetual set of bits, well, we took a snapshot at a period of time, and it just stays stagnant. And those applications are great under certain circumstances, but not for general user productivity. And this is why we're delivering Office 365 Pro Plus in that manner. But if you kind of see from an IT perspective, on the bottom right-hand side, we have this nice little wave, right? 2 single waves. Traditionally, you guys have taken these applications every 3 to 5 years or so. You're going to go ahead and make those deployments. Huge amount of investments on your side. I don't know if you saw the other session the other day where Mars was saying they did an analysis, and it took them about $5 million for that large size organization to be able to do that kind of deployment. That's a huge amount of investment, right? And so what we're trying to do is we're saying, hey, why don't we just do one last upgrade? And then over time, start delivering smaller updates where then you can still receive those capabilities, those features, the security updates, those bug fixes, all in smaller packages. And that's where we're shifting to that next graphic, right? So it's our job to be able to deliver and ensure that we're bringing that effort level down consistently. And that is what our team does back in Redmond, Washington. And so what we did is we looked at every single step of the way and said, hey, how do we efficiently make and deliver those capabilities so it just makes it much easier? How do we treat our apps, even though that they're on individual boxes, as a service? And so we looked at these 4 critical pillars and we said, hey, yes, well, number 1, we want to ensure this is truly the last upgrade, right? This is going to be your one big push to move to Office 365 Pro Plus. And then delivering smaller bits on a continuous basis where it's much easier to consume than those massive large projects that you've previously done. And so then on top of that, it wasn't just stopping there, but making sure that you had the right set of tools to efficiently manage those overall deliveries. And also not just the delivery of it, but being able to configure your overall environment, your overall images, making sure you can deliver things like policies and preferences to your individual users, and all that which we'll cover later on in the best practices. And then the other thing that we're looking at is how do we reduce your overall, hardware overhead? I know a lot of you are using things like file shares or distribution points to host those large files because you might have multiple languages that you need to support and then download those and then distribute it internally because you have a faster network at that point. Well, how do we leverage additional set of capabilities like peer-to-peer where you're just downloading once, distributing many? And so those are other things that we're continuously looking at from our perspective to say, hey, how do we make that a lot more efficient? And then finally, the last thing is the high confidence servicing. How do we ensure that the bits that we're delivering to you are of the highest quality possible? And if there is an issue, how do you take those bits and inform us so we can ensure that we're addressing them, we're able to deliver them back in a reasonable manner? And of course, leveraging signals that we're continuously seeing through telemetry that you're all sharing, and then be able to then quickly identify that before you guys even are able to tell us what's going on there, right? So that's kind of a quick lay of the land and tell you guys exactly what we're doing in order to make your lives much easier. Make sense so far? Okay, so let's dive right into it now. So what we did is we said, hey, if we look at the cycle of how you guys start deploying, there's actually 3 critical things that you typically do. One is you're preparing your organization for that overall deployment. Then you go ahead and do your upgrade. And then finally, you're continuously managing your deployments, the actual bits that are on your box. And that right-hand side is where we want you to stay for the longest period of time in that entire life cycle, right? So let's kind of talk through what does it take and what are the best practices? What have we seen that other organizations are truly taking advantage of in order to accomplish every single one of these? So let's start by looking at prepare. Now in prepare stage, what we're seeing here is we've just come out with some new bits in Config Manager 1910 that allow you to do a significant amount of assessment. Now previously, and those of you who've used the Office Readiness Toolkit, how many of you here use the Readiness Toolkit for? To scan your environment, see how things are going. Okay, so very few of you. I definitely encourage you guys to all check it out. It's aka.ms/readiness toolkit, where you can go download it right now if you don't have Config Man 1910 yet. And if you do, great. I would like to encourage you to take a look at this. Now what this does, it gives you an opportunity to actually collect all that information from the Config Man agents that are already deployed out there. And it's going to start telling you and showing you in nice charts and information around how many of your devices have ProPlus and actually are deploying or have yet to have ProPlus, and how many you're actually deploying out there. And with this information, I can start being able to then understand what my overall device readiness is. We're able to do a quick assessment and determine which ones actually have add-ins, and then are they going to be ready for you to be able to start deploying or not. And especially for those of you who don't have add-ins or critical line of business macros on those boxes, well, those should be ready to go. So the idea is to look at every single one of these and really understand what that looks like. Now, let me quickly just switch over and show you a live demo of what this actually looks like, right? This is my tenant, my sample tenant, my environment that I have here. Again, I'm using Config Man 1910. And what I can directly go is what you can see under the software library, under the Office 365 Client Management, is a couple of new tabs underneath that. and you're going to see the Office 365 ProPlus upgrade readiness. And this part right here, I can go ahead and take a look at any of my collections that I want to go ahead and evaluate. And once I'm doing that, I can say, hey, what is my target that I want to go to? Now, I know a lot of you are also considering 64-bit. In fact, let me do another survey. How many of you guys are doing 64-bit considerations right now? So about a third of the room, not bad, right? So we see a huge trend of going to 64-bit right now. In fact, I don't know if you saw yesterday's session, where we internally at Microsoft, we did our own 64-bit deployment. And we learned a lot from there. Because we said, hey, if customers are going, we have to go too, right? And so we started doing a deployment, and we quickly stopped at one point. We're like, no, there's a number of things wrong. There are a number of common controls missing there. We had some of our own internal issues that we had to resolve, and we said, okay. And that was a great way for you guys, to take advantage of all that learning that we've already had internally. And because we built it back into the product. We fixed it into the product pretty quickly. And so we can go ahead and then choose our target here, whether I'm going to go 32 or 64, and then start evaluating what's going on. As you can see, it shows me the progress of my overall deployment. Are things actually moving forward? How many of these devices that I have that either do not have Office on them or have a legacy version of Office? But once I get on the ProPlus, I start seeing a nice little green arc that is telling me that I'm progressing well there. On the right-hand side, I could start seeing what are my devices that are ready to go, right? For those who do have Office on there, I can go, okay, if they are ready to go from here, I can start creating collections. I can put them into my collections. And through Config Manager, I can start just doing a basic deployment of Office from there. Going down, this is the one, that part that I believe is really critical here, right? Let's look at your add-in readiness. Now, the readiness data is actually really, really awesome in my point of view. I can see that there's a number of add-ins that are just ready to go. They're ready to move forward. We've had positive signals that are saying that we've not seen any massive compatibility issues right there. You could see, though, there are some that have a remediation that we can tell you that we know there's going to be a problem on it. And therefore, you should go and move forward with that. If I double-click on that, that should open up in just a second there. And then start kind of giving me information of what exactly are those, what are the issues over there, right? And one, just going to contact the software provider. And that's going to really just tell you that, hey, there's probably a newer version that is going to be supported for that particular add-in that you're going to want to be able to upgrade, deploy out to your organization, and move forward from there. Going back to my screen here, I'm going to scroll down even further. And then also look at what is my total set of add-ins. One of the things that we kept on, feedback that we kept on hearing from organizations are just, we don't totally know the inventory of all the add-ins that we have. What are the top ones that I really have to go on? We keep hearing, IT folks saying, hey, my business is saying that's a really important add-in and it's, critical. Well, one pivot is, how many people are actually using it? How many is actually deployed out there? Is it always just the loudest set of folks that scream? We've all gone through that before, right? And so with this, you could start seeing exactly what is the magnitude that you're looking at. Obviously, the first step, like I said, is trying to identify the number of add-ins that are installed across your organization. And then from there, we look at macros. So if you are using the Readiness Toolkit for Office, if you start deploying the information to every single device, you're going to start seeing things like, hey, how do I look at the most recent files that are used in Office, in every individual device, and start collecting that information. And by seeing that, you could see, hey, how many devices that I actually have macros on there. And I can look at the readiness of those if we have actually seen any particular regressions or potential regressions. Because again, this is all stuff that we've known. This is sharing sets of known issues with you that we know these things are going to fail. So you get a quick view of what that looks like. And then here's some of the advisories right here. So we're showing you that there's the number over here. We have 2 that are going to have some design issues that we want you to go back in, tell you what it looks like. And so if you're using this tool or the Readiness Toolkit, you're going to be able to identify all the way down to the line of what's going to be broken over there that we want you to update. And so that right there should hopefully speed up your overall workflow by just using that set of tools and the insights generated by Configuration Manager. Let me quickly swing back here and show you the next one. So the next thing that we want you to take a really look at is your servicing channels. We've gotten a lot of questions around what channel do I use? How does this actually work? And the reality is, you might be hearing about 5, 6, 7 different channels. That's not true. We actually just have 2 primary channels. We have one that is on a monthly cadence. We're delivering monthly features, bug fixes, security updates. And the key thing here is to note that you're getting both bug features and bug fixes and feature updates on a monthly basis. Now, for those of your organizations who want to slow down a little bit on features, you have this option to adopt them twice a year. Now, we want to provide a preview to each of those channels so you can see exactly what's about to come up. And you can go ahead and validate those bits within your environment. And when I say validate within your environment, what I'm really talking about is, I'm not saying you go out and test our software for us. It's not what I'm saying at all. We have a massive amount of test facilities that we are in test scenarios that we go through. But the reality is the stack that you guys use, we'll never be able to match that, right? You're constantly going out with different, DLP providers or some other add-in that you're using that you've obviously built in-house or some third party that we're not used to. We're never going to be able to kind of validate those things. But once you're able to go ahead and take a look at that, we want to hear from you. We want to understand and know in the preview kind of channels how things are going there. And then be able to then address them and fix them while they're in preview, not while they're in the semi-annual channel, right? Because once it's there, we want to make sure that you get the best high-quality thing. Because what might affect a couple of you folks over here might not affect you guys over here. So checking in that code, making churns, and making sure that these guys get your change is actually not the best for everybody. And so that's why we want you to leverage the targeted channels to be able to take a look at it, inform us exactly how things are going, and then be able to deliver that. And so a lot of people ask then is, well, what percentage of my organization should be on monthly or on targeted? It's not about a percentage. It's more about really understanding what you want to cover, right? So if you actually have 10 add-ins that are really critical to your organization, we'll take a subset of those users and add them to your targeted channel. And therefore, they can start giving you the right signals, giving us the right signals, as to ensure things are doing really well. In fact, we have some really nice algorithms that says, yeah, well, even though it's a smaller population, we can know what the massive impact is going to look like because we understand the diversity of what the hardware looks like or the configuration sets and just kind of go from there. So those things are really critical. Just take a set of that. And now your monthly channels or your insiders are fantastic, especially the monthly channel, are fantastic for users who are using Office purely as a productivity tool. Think about it here, right? My device, I do not have any critical line of business add-ins or macros that I use. Again, that I use, right? I might have them installed, which I actually don't. But if I did, I'm not really using them. And therefore, for me, I'd like to see features. I like to understand what the rest of the app teams are delivering to me. And so I will take features on a monthly basis. And if for some reason my device does go down, which has happened, right? I can easily pick up a next device and be able to take my files that are all saved in the cloud and continue to use it. In fact, I think it was several years ago, I came out here at Ignite and my device failed. And I was able to just get on this kiosk, pick my presentation from there, and be able to continue straight on. And I was down for maybe 30 seconds. That was the max time it took me to log in, right? And so that's the kind of stuff that we want your users to do because we keep hearing, hey, productivity slows down. We're getting too many updates, and we get that. And so we're working on a lot of those things. But at the same time, we want to make sure that those who can go on a monthly channel should be able to take those, right? And those who are on the insiders channel, you should be able to use that to really identify what's coming down the pipe. what features are going to be it. So you get the opportunity to do that. Now let's actually talk about language pack distribution. This is one that I keep hearing from a lot of folks, and this is especially for those who've gone ahead and started creating massive packages, because we know your x-none, that file, which is your main set of shared components, it's about close to a gig now, right, in size. And then every language pack, we give you roughly about 200 megs, right? And so once you combine all that and you're saying, hey, I have some 15 languages, you're now anywhere between 6 to 8 gigs. And then on top of that, if you're going to support both 32 and 64, now you're doubling that, right? You're anywhere between 12 to 16. So, and having 12 to 16 gigs to be able to download just for an update is actually way overkill, right? And so the idea is how do we make that a lot leaner? And so we worked with several organizations to be able to really identify what can we do to make this happen. And so a couple of things that we highly recommend. One is use the match install. Well, actually, even before that, if we're going to go ahead and do a deployment, we have this capability called Match OS, right? So if I can go ahead and just pick one language only. Let's take the example of US English. If I said I'm going to download US English with the entire set of bits, I can actually just reduce it all the way down to about 1.2 gigs, right? Significant savings from there. Well, how do I get the other languages? Well, what we can do is we have the ability to target all the devices and select Match OS languages. And the Match OS languages, then we'll start looking at all the languages that you need on that particular device. And then you can use a allow fallback to CDN switch that allows you to go get those directly from our CDN. Again, using our infrastructure as a place to host all the bits that are available there. Make sense so far? Right? So, and that's only going to improve over time, right? Being able to, because we're going to be leveraging a lot more, and especially those who already have peer-to-peer installed for your organization, you can start downloading, delivering it via that as well. But for second installs, what we say is, if you have the ability to, if you have one set of ProPlus already on your box, and you want to be able to add net new languages, your users go out and say, hey, I need to have now French. I can go ahead and do that by just doing this thing called match install, right? If you're not familiar, but if you go out to the CDN today or to one of our web pages and say, hey, I want to go download French, and you allow your users to do that, assuming they do have admin rights in their box, they can go ahead and do that. But what's going to happen is if they're on one version, let's say they're about 2 versions behind, it's actually going to pull them forward for the version as well as add that language on. In a lot of situations, you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you have the right set of versions that you want in your organization. And so we're using the matched install capability. We can go ahead and say, I don't really care what version you have right now. Keep everything the same. Keep your entire configuration identical. And then I can use the match install attribute to then just only add that language pack on, right? And so we have that capability to do that directly through the XML. We'll be bringing that into config.office.com shortly. And then and you'll see that available from there. But let me show you this quick example of what we did with this one customer. They had about 30,000 devices. We were able to go ahead and do a quick inventory around all their devices and figure out what languages were actually distributed amongst them. And we said, OK, there are about a significant amount, about 5,000 around these particular languages, right? You had French and Dutch. That were the primary languages. But you could see this massive long tail that kind of showed up. And so what we said is, if we just took the top 5, 6, 7 languages, and we're only able to capture those, and maybe just download those, can we significantly reduce the amount of size that they needed? And then let those folks go get the other set of languages directly from the CDN. We saw a significant reduction in their overall package size. They saved around, in total, I think it was close to about 8 megs or so, 8 gigs at that point. And if you think about those 8 gigs distributing off to about 30 different sites, the amount of savings that actually that produces, which is huge. Your network teams will thank you for that, right? Let's talk about deployment packages. For those of you who are looking to upgrade and are going through an upgrade process, I know you guys have been using OffScrub, right? Anybody not? So what we've done is we've said, hey, let's take the best of OffScrub because it's a script. For those of you guys who haven't used it, and we're not a big fan of that. And so what we said is let's take it and build it natively into our installer and help you to be able to uninstall these things. And so you have the one option where it just takes everything out. It just nukes it completely. Or you have the flexibility of actually removing just a few of the options. You can remove your 2010 version. You can leave behind Visio, Project, and so on, and just go from there. In fact, let me just show you what this looks like. So if I'm going to go ahead and here, this is config.office.com. If you guys haven't seen this, this is our website that allows you to start configuring different packages, and then two, being able to start saving these packages so you can actually just execute from there. What I want to show you is we can go down here and create a new configuration or just sign in and be able to, again, like I said, save these configurations directly to the web. This does require you to have either a global admin rights or the new Office Apps admin role. If you guys haven't seen the Office Apps admin role, it's fairly simple. This thing actually just launched last week. If I go into the Office 365 console, I can see the role here. So for those of you who do not have global admin rights, you can go ahead down here and ask your global admin to be able to add this, to give you those set of rights. That will give you rights directly to do anything in config.office.com, or it will give you some access, read-only access, directly into what we call the main admin center, the M365 admin center. So it lets you come out to here so you can view a couple other things. Now going back into here, you can see there's a couple of things that I can do. I can build out a new configuration, or I can go ahead and use any one of the standard configurations that customers have been asking about, even down to the uninstall Office, because we've seen certain scenarios where we're like, I just need to take Office off for a second. And so we can add things like Visio and all, and I can go ahead and click on that. I can download my configuration directly and be able to then just use it from there, right? So if I go to my downloads, I could see exactly, open that file up. Use Notepad, switch it over here for my second screen, and that configuration is all just there and ready for you. But if I go into my configuration and say, hey, no, I need to create one, I can go and create one directly from scratch and say, okay, I'm going to go ahead with 64-bit. I'm going to go ahead and pick up ProPlus. I can add Visio and Project if I wanted to. I could pick my update channel. Here I'm going to go to monthly. I'm going to go and select any apps that I want to exclude. That looks good to me right now. But if I go back down here, this is what we were talking about, right? The opportunity to uninstall my legacy version. So if I'm going from 2010, I can go ahead and pick exactly what that looks like. And in this case, I'm going to say, go ahead and I want to leave Visio behind. You can see that on the right-hand side, it's starting to build my configuration. And then I'm going to also say, hey, as I'm doing this, I want to match all the languages that were currently there. And once I'm done with this, I can go and title it. And in fact, and for this example, my HR one is ready to go. I can go ahead and pull a link directly from here. And what that allows me to do is if I'm running my Office deployment tool, I can just append this URL or URI at the end of that Office deployment tool. And it will go directly to our cloud service, pick up this configuration, and start executing it on your device. Or you can download that actual XML file and store them locally if you need to. But why? Now that you have all this capability here. So that's currently what you can do with that. And so leveraging those capabilities, we're just trying to make it much easier for you to be able to get from your current version to the next version without doing a task sequence of you uninstalling and then installing on a net new version. OK, let's move up to cloud policies. Now, the cloud policies allow you to actually deliver policies today without using group policies itself. You can do it directly from the cloud. And without going directly into this right here, I'm just going to go back here and kind of really show you what's going on. Now, under policy management, I have the opportunity to go ahead and say, hey, I want to go ahead and create these policies. And I'm going to use this help desk example that I have here. I can target a group, and any members of that group will be able to receive these policies at the point that they sign in. And if you do refresh the policies, these policies refresh every 90 minutes by default. And so I can go here into configure policies. I can search across all my apps. We now have about 95% of these user policies that are available in your current ADMX, in your GPOs itself. And so we're adding those 5% over the next several months. We're cleaning those up, and you'll have those available here. In fact, we're going to be adding device policies over time. So you're going to see that come through as well. But I can go directly here. I can say, hey, I want to look for something that disables some of my macros, security settings for macros in Outlook. Set them directly here. Always warn. I'm going to say warn for signed and disable unsigned. Close that. Save it. And that's it. Now these users that are in this help desk agents group are all going to get these policies every time they sign in and at a 90-minute refresh. OK. For this next one, I'm going to invite Randy. Come on up. Randy's going to talk about how to get Office on your virtual desktop.
All right. Super glad to be here. Thanks, everybody, for coming. So the problem is that in roaming profile environments, maybe you're using VDI, maybe you're using Citrix, maybe you're using RDS, you get a suboptimal Office experience. And that's because in these environments, you have to turn off all of the caching that Office does. For example, you're using online mode with Outlook, or you don't have direct access to OneDrive files. Maybe you're using the web interface because you can't take the time to roam all of that data. And this results in a not great Office experience. It's a little bit slower. Users are, it's a little bit clunky. Users are expecting something better. So Microsoft acquired a company called FSLogix, which is where I came from a year ago. And it has a product called FSLogix Profiles. And this is a roaming profile solution that is designed to solve this problem for you. And what it can do is it can make large amounts of data available as a user logs on very quickly for that user. And it doesn't take a lot of time. So even if you've got large OST files, we have direct support for OneDrive, including all of the features or the files on demand feature. All of that, you turn all this stuff back on. You pretend it's a laptop. You pretend it's a desktop. And FSLogix just takes care of all of that for you. And your users just get a native experience. And it's very fast. And users are excited to see that happen. We'll take a quick look. We don't have a lot of time, so I'll just give you a real brief introduction how the tech actually works. What we do is we create a VHD or VHDX file for every user who's using this system. And as that user logs on, that VHD file, it's out on a network share somewhere. Any kind of SMB storage will work. That is just attached to the computer, which takes a second or two. Actually less than that, usually. And then the FSLogix magic is that it takes the contents of that VHD and makes it look like it's in the C:users directory. So when you're looking in there, you see the regular profile directory, and you go into that and you look at it, and you're actually now getting data from the attached VHD, which is a local volume at this point. But you can't tell that it's not just actually been X-copied to the machine. So that's how it works. And then when the user logs off, we simply just detach that. All of the changes, of course, that the user makes in their profile, any new mails that they get, any changes to their OneDrive files, their Teams cache, OneNote, all this stuff, all is going real time to the VHD file on the network. And that's happening in a very efficient way because it's actually going out block level. So it eliminates a lot of network traffic. It vastly reduces the number of file operations that are going across the network. literally by thousands of times. And that's basically how it works. So I've got a machine logged in here, and we'll just kind of show you. Uh-oh, Mesh, it's looking for your face. All right. So this is a machine that I've actually got up in Windows Virtual Desktop, which is a new offering and that's where the FSLogix team landed. We landed in the Windows Virtual Desktop team. I will say also that FSLogix is broadly available. If you're using any of these technologies, you're likely entitled to use it for free. So you can just go to aka.ms/FSLogix, and all the information's there, and you can download the software. So just real quick, I'll show you. Let's see, maybe I'm not going to show you. Well, my clicker's not working. Let's see. Okay, well, I guess I'll just imagine, if you will. I don't know why this session's frozen. I don't know. All right, well, we can log in real quick here.
There has to be one demo, right? That goes down.
This is the good thing about doing live demos. They're good and sometimes not so good. All right, hey, there you go. So here's just a command prompt. You can see I went into the users folder and just did a directory. Everything just looks normal. Here's an Explorer view. The system, Office, and the users literally cannot tell that this is not really there. This is actually on attached VHDs. That's going on. The way that you configure FSLogix is very simple. So you come into your regedit, or any way that you want to manipulate the registry, and just under HK local machine, software, FSLogix profiles, there's literally just two settings that you have to turn on. One is enabled equals 1, and the other one is what file system are you going to use, what file server. And you just set that to your path, and you're ready to go. The way you can tell this is working is via log files. So all of the activity that happens with FSLogix is captured in log files, and those are under program data, FSLogix logs, and this is the profile feature. So if you look in there, here's the file, and everything that we're doing is logged here. And if you call in for support, these are the first things that we're going to want to collect from you. It details every step that we're doing, how long it took, all that kind of stuff. So this literally will impact a log on. Here you can see this is 3.5 seconds to impact to the log on. All right, thanks, Amish. Back to you.
Randy. So quickly moving on to the upgrade section, what I want to be able to show you is some stuff that we've been doing there around monitoring preview channels and health. So the idea here is, previously I showed you in Configuration Manager, you're able to go ahead and start seeing which devices are ready. Now you can go ahead and start picking a collection, and once I pick a particular collection, I could start clicking on this Generate Pilot, which will give me a nice little recommendation on which devices that I should go ahead and start distributing. As this starts loading, you're also going to start seeing information around things like which devices are, again, recommended. I can start going and seeing, using the actual telemetry, the telemetry stream that actually is built into Office 365 Pro Plus, which ones are actually enabled and turned on, which then can tell me as I go down and see what are the ones that are delivering health signals directly to us, which ones are crashing, which ones are having added or macro issues if it's not just if it's not just the app itself. So this information can get you a lot of information as to what's going on with your environment. There's actually a session that's going to be on Thursday that's going to go really deep into that. Both Deepam Dubey and Tara Hanratty are going to be talking about this. So definitely encourage you to go ahead and check that out. A couple other things around from a managed perspective. So one, if you recall those policies that I actually deployed earlier, we have the opportunity to look at what we called our security policy advisor. Now this, we just recently launched, and what you'll see here is what it's doing is it's actually identifying, based on the user group that you guys have set your policies up, that are there any particular advisories or recommendations I can go ahead and turn on. So for this particular group, this HR group, there's a number of policies that it's recommending to me that I should go and turn on from a security perspective. Previously, when we announced this in public preview, we had about 4 or 5 different policies. Now we've expanded it to about 50, and you're going to continuously see more and more come in here. For example, it says, hey, we should block macros from running for these particular users on Access or Excel. Let me click on this one, and it's going to give me an idea of why I should be doing this, what is the actual recommendation, and if I'm using advanced threat protection on top of that, it's going to tell me that which users were actually previously targeted that ATP prevented it from actually occurring. So I can go ahead and start enabling this and just apply. And now that set of, that set of users will go ahead and have those policies applied to them. And I can see them directly in here. And so the Security Policy Advisor is going to continuously monitor and provide you information. And in the event that you actually don't want the user, let me go back in here actually, back to Excel. If this whole override part that I actually kind of quickly skipped over, what this does, it enables my users to actually override that setting if I wanted to. So let's say one day I decide I do want to use macros in Excel. I have the option to say, nope, override, and then it was going to go ahead and let me be able to actually do that, and it reports back to the admin as well. So I can go back directly into here, say how many users were actually impacted by this particular policy, and how many actually turned it over and to be able to go to use that. Going back here real quick, I do want to, I'm going to, in the interest of time, skip over delivery optimization. Oh, actually, I'm going to talk about delivery optimization really quickly. For those of you who are using Win 10, we definitely recommend using delivery optimization. We've seen a significant amount of bandwidth saving for updates. You can see that over here, about 90% is what they've actually, we've been able to see directly. So that's something that's, you can turn, I mean, as long as you configure Win 10 delivery optimization, Office 365 Pro Plus will start taking advantage of that and being able to take those from your peers. Now, the last thing I do want to show you real quick is this new capability that we just announced this week at Ignite around what's new management. This is about user notifications. How many of you have actually gone through the situation where you're seeing like there's a whole bunch of what's new things that are coming out, and all of a sudden your users are bombarded with this, and maybe some of them doesn't apply to them. And so then your help desk gets a whole bunch of phone calls saying, hey, how do I use this feature? And you're like, well, we never turned it on in the first place. So now we have the capability of actually showing you that by going directly into the what's new management portion. And what this does is, which is now in preview, obviously, what it does now, it says, hey, these are all the features that are coming in 19.10, right? And I can go ahead and click on one of these, and I can say, hey, I want to show this to a user. I want my users, as they log in to PowerPoint in this case, I can go ahead and have that pop up when they sign into PowerPoint. And so they can see exactly what that is going to be, what's going to be available to them. And I can keep going down through every single one of these to be able to see exactly what's going to be coming up. Again, this is in preview and available today, so you can go ahead and try that out. Again, it does require you to have access to the portal itself. The last thing I quickly want to show everybody. Let's see. Is this one last thing. For those of you who are migrating from 32 to 64, we've actually made it a lot simpler by just adding 4 lines in your XML. The opportunity to say, what client edition do I want to move to, and migrate architecture. Again, what this does is it's actually going to look at the full configuration of your device and take the 64-bit version of that and migrate you over to it. It won't migrate your add-ins, so you still have to manage those. But it will certainly migrate Office itself and have that moved over. So it will uninstall 32-bit and it will install 64-bit. And in the event you do want to go back to 32-bit, guess what? Just swap out that 64 to 32 and it will go the opposite. You can do this from a local source, so you just have to add your local source path, or this particular one, it'll go out to the CDN to get those source bits for you. Okay, with the last 30 seconds, I do want you guys to know that we do have tons and tons of resources available. A lot of this you can get directly from config.office.com. Things like new deployment videos. We're doing tips and tricks on that. It's our YouTube channel where we are hosting tons of different pieces of information there. We do have our deployment center, our fast track resources, and our tech community blog. That's a tech community blog and site. So if you guys do have questions, if you want to contact us, you want to talk to us, we're always on the tech community site where you can post questions, not just only to us, but to your peers as well. And then finally, if you have any feature requests, any feedback that you want to give us, check out our user voice site. This is where we'd love to hear from you as to what can we do to make things better? What can we do to make things a little different for you? And then finally, here's all the different sessions. I'd mentioned a couple of them that we have, so definitely take a look at it. Obviously, every single one will be recorded and going from there. That being it, I hope you guys enjoyed the session. Let us know on the evaluations. Go from there. Thank you.